Hey everyone, welcome to September 2nd, this month's webinar where we'll be reviewing, kind of switched it around from last month because a few people dropped off um, after we were talking about NeQter Labs, and we were getting into a lot of heavy CMMC stuff. So I'm gonna switch it around this month and start off with that. Unfortunately, I see there's less people here last month, probably because we had the August one just a couple weeks ago. But there's already been so many things that have changed between just the second and when we had that last one. So I'm going to be reviewing the 48 um, CMMC rule updates, and we're going to redo the phased rollout breakdown again. I tried to make a table to help summarize. It came out a little. Well, you be the judge of how it came out. Maybe next month I'll have a nicer looking one, but definitely want to summarize just all the things that are happening the past couple of weeks. So for 48, so I had this slide last time talking about, well, the fact that it's advanced. Well, it's advanced even further. So we'll get into that. So this is talking about July 22nd, where the 48 CFR moved to IRA, or the Office of Information Regulatory Affairs with the White House. So IRA had 90 days to complete their review. Once approved, it will go to the Federal Register to be published for final publication. And it's anticipated that it will be immediate upon publication, no delay. Well, between now and last week, it's advanced. IRA cleared it. They cleared the final rule. This is an excerpt from the from PDF that was released from the DoD. So I have a bunch of links I'll be posting in the chat for everyone to access to trust your sources and what have you. But essentially, D041 or this case number has been moved, and it's now being prepared for publication. So, and this is the direct link to the IRS website, where it talks about when it was received, the fact that it was approved. So it cleared in 34 days, which is very fast. And another thing is that it has not been deemed economically significant. Now, what that means is that there will be no delay. It will just go out as soon as it's published, it's live. So that even though you and I know, everyone on the call knows, yes, this is, economically significant to me, spent so much money on this, or I'm about to. But that's all that means. So the rule itself is really just pushing ahead the policy already codified and released in 32 CFR, which came out in October and enforced in December. So there's not going to be any sea changes to this rule is very compact, actually. The 40 it's very slim compared to the 32 if you got to read through that. So just to kind of rehash, what does this mean? 7021, or just to spell out, DFARS 252.204-7021, CMMC clause can be put into contracts. But it's going to be kicking off the 4-phased rollout. So this is, well, I was trying to make a table because I realized, explaining last time, there's a lot to think about. So this is going to authorize contract officers to include CMMC language in solicitations. So during the phase-in period, program managers and requiring Activities will be, putting in certain solicitations of contracts. Will have discretion to include in others. So I'm going to try to break down again the phases, what it means, and why each one is important. So sorry everyone, we have class today. It's not exciting, it's very dry, it's very government, but I think it's important. So breakdown of the phase rollout. So there's no definitive date, but the estimation is it's passed, it's going to be put in the Federal Register. It's typically a 1 to 2 week process. So probably within the next 2 weeks, we're going to see this live. So for phase 1, it begins on the effective date. So if we say September 14th, as soon as it hits the Federal Register, it's going to be live. So it will begin on that effective date, to say that the 14th of September, or say it's the 20th or whatever. Say it's this month. It's live. So DoD intends to include the requirement of level 1 self and level 2 self for all applicable DoD solicitations and contracts as a condition of contract award. So what you all have been doing with NIST SP 100-171 in SPRS, supplier risk management system, and uploading your points, your SSP essentially, and, or rather, filling it out and acknowledging, okay, here's where we're at, here's our points. You're going to be doing the same thing with CMMC. There's going to be a new tab, and if there's not already, in SPRS, where, hey, here's how I'm doing against CMMC. So very, very much rinse and repeat with NIST, but this is going to be for phase 1. They're just kind of first 12 months, level set, get everyone doing selfs and uploading to SPRS for applicable DoD contracts as a condition. So one of the things that's so all contracts self. They may, for some applicable solicitations of contracts, as a condition to exercise an option period on a contract awarded prior, they might say, hey, that contract you already got, or that you've exercised an option, we need this on that too. So that's one of the, as I stressed last month, discretion's a key word that is doing a lot of work. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting. Additionally, at its discretion, they may include CMMC L2 C3PAO, or going out, paying for an assessment, getting certification from a certified third-party assessment organization, C3PAO. At its discretion, they may include that for certain contracts. So all contracts, everyone's going to self-certify and upload into SPRS and say, I am doing the needful. For some, at their discretion, they may say, that's not good enough. These ones are important. You need to get a cert and have it in hand at a contract award. So that's phase 1. That's the first 12 months. So say it's September, rolling into September 2026, phase 2. So the phases each come out a calendar year following the preceding phase. So phase 2, here's the highlights of this one. They intend to include the requirement of L2 C3PAO, not self C3PAO, for applicable solicitations of contracts as a condition of contract award. So they're moving from everyone needs a self, with the discretion of some C3PAO sprinkled in there, to applicable, or some contracts are going to require C3. So more contracts are going to require C3PAO. At its discretion, again, heavy lift discretion. They may delay the inclusion to an option period instead of contract award. So it's still going to require it, but they're going to say, you know what? We're going to, delay it to an option period to maybe 90 days, right? Instead of at contract award, they might do that. And then they're starting to talk about in phase 2, level 3, for certain DoD contracts. Now, you'll know if you need level 3. You've probably known for years that you need level 3. Level 3, they estimate less than 1% of everybody is going to need level 3. So that's when level 3 starts to come in. If you've ever looked at level 3, you know the additional requirements that you need for that. It's quite a heavy lift between level 2 and level 3. And then, of course, DoD says our DIBCAC team, our team, is going to conduct that assessment. No outside third party. DoD is conducting those. So they are going to start including that at its discretion in phase 2 in 2026. So moving to phase 3, we're going into 2027 here. The key phrase is all applicable DoD contracts, solicitations of contracts, L2, C3PAO. So phase 1, 2 years prior, everyone's self-certing, and some people were getting requirements. Phase 2, more people getting requirements for a C3PAO assessment and certification. Phase 3, all applicable as a condition of contract award and as a condition to exercise an option. They also intend to include level 3 for all applicable contracts instead of before. The year before was some. This one is all. The only discretion in phase 3 is for level 3. They say, okay, you know what? We're going to pump the brakes. It's going to be an option period instead of contract award for level 3. So if you're level 2, this has nothing to do with you. And then phase 4, full stop, full implementation. We're geared up. We're moving. Everything is required for everybody in perpetuity throughout the universe. That's phase 4 in 2028. So now you can take a look at and openly boo my table. So if we're looking at phase 1, just say I put an asterisk here. Could be September. So strongly looking like it's going to be this month because it's going to take just a couple weeks to get into, Federal Register. Of course, government being government, they might drag their feet. It could push into October, but as we saw with the OIRA review, 34 days instead of 90. They're pretty motivated to get moving on this. So phase 1, September of this year. Level 2 requirements, self. Required when? At contract award. Impacted contracts, all applicable. Discretion is for L2 C3PAO for applicable contracts. Now, I didn't include, maybe I should have, but I didn't include a column for level 1 because level 1 is going to be self. It's going to be required for all contracts through all phases. So phase 1, as soon as CMMC launches, level 1 is just applied for everything. And then L2 is also going to be required from a self certification standpoint for all applicable contracts. So moving to phase 2, September 2026, level 2 requirements, C3PAO, contract award for some applicability. And of course, L2 self-certified is going to be for all. The only discretion that they had in phase 2 was delaying the inclusion of instead of contract award, just kind of pumping the brakes a bit and saying, okay, option period for this in case we need a bit of a release valve. Going to pause because I've been ranting for a bit. We have a question: where do existing contracts fall into the schedule? So, existing contracts is going to be the language surrounding. If we go back up here, for applicable, that's going to be so for option periods. So existing contracts. So obviously, DoD can, they can mod contracts. If you get an option or a period or extend a contract, then it will be included. If you're in year 3 of a 5-year contract, they can't go and insert this in there unless, of course, they mod the contract and tell you. So this is going to be for all new contracts moving forward, and then for solicitations and contracts as a condition, for an option period on a contract awarded prior, it's going to be self. So imagine just, it needs to, the clause itself, the 7021 clause needs to be within that contract for this to take effect. So, of course, they might go and say, they might go on a spree and say, okay, guess what? All contracts are getting modded to include this clause. They can, they might do that. So imagine it as, or not imagine it as, new contracts moving forward are going to include these clauses. If you have an option period extending an existing contract, it's going to be included. Or, of course, if they choose to dip back and modify a contract, then it will be included. But bottom line is the clause needs to be within the contract to take effect, of course. That's what 48 CFR is putting in the Federal Register, the ability for the DoD to have that power. So we were at phase 2. So phase 3 is going to be C3PAO for level 2 at contract award, and it's going to be most, if not all, contracts are going to have that requirement. The only discretion that they have is for a level 3, where it just pushes it back a little bit from contract award to an option period. And then phase 4 is all with no discretion. It's just no caveats, no asterisks, just all contracts are going to require it as we move. So again, I took the liberty of putting September in here, but it could very well be October. I know there was a lot of I was going to have a slide on this. I know there was some chatter for a lot of people took October 1st, 2025 and ran with it, which the belief that people saw that and ran with it was because that's when a few years back with CMMC version 1, that's when version 1 was supposed to end, was October 1st, 2025. So whatever happened, a lot of people took that date and ran with it, which there's nothing wrong with that date. It's just not official. And it could very well be we're in September and the official date is in September. There was a bit of a, internet hysteria and news articles about October 1st, even to the point where the Army posted in sam.gov a notice about October 1st that they had to rescind because they were wrong, because they got caught up. They thought it was live and happening, but it is live and happening, and it's probably going to come sooner. So that's a very, very quick rundown. Let me grab a couple of the links that I used, just so everyone can access it yourself to review, instead of reading Rainbow, taking my word for it. You can check those links. So first two links are for the case, and then this is for the rule itself in the Federal Register, the 32 CFR, which breaks down these timelines. So that is everything about, CMMC. In the past 2 weeks, I thought I wouldn't have to update my slides, and lo and behold, I had to. Of course, to the beat of their own drum, CMMC is doing its own thing through DoD, and then of course primes are doing their own thing as well. Right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. So primes are, if anything, being a bit more aggressive with their language, with their supply chain risk management. So we've seen a lot of letters coming out or emails coming out with some of our clients from like Lockheed or Boeing or Raytheon or Collins or insert large prime here. A lot of them are getting their ducks in a row in terms of, hey, CMMC is happening. It's a flow down requirement. We need you to be up to snuff to work with, to work with us. And they might require CMMC prior to even the DoD coming out with it. So even though DoD is doing none and then some and then many and then all in terms of the next 4 years of who, which contracts require L2, C3PAO, a prime might say, hey, you need to have a cert from a C3PAO to work with us this year or now, so keep an eye out for communication from your prime. They can do it, that's business to business. They can have whatever requirements that they want on their own supply chain. So just be mindful of that. Let's see. Robert has a question, giving me his own link here. Yeah, so this was actually Robert. So that's I'll pull it up here. So this is a direct response from DoD because of the whole October 1st language that was out there. So the department and different branches of the DoD, the Army, the Navy, a lot of people got so bent out of shape with the whole, oh man, October 1st. It's going to be required. There were some in with the Army on sam.gov, there were some, contract officers starting to say, oh, it's happening, and inadvertently putting it into contracts. So so they had to come out with a memorandum saying, hey, stop. It's not happening yet. So this language here, so effective immediately, hey, everyone who got ahead of it, please pump the brakes. This class deviation remains in effect until the effective date of the final rule, 2019 D041. So that's what I'm talking about here. So this class deviation of you, hey, hit pause, everybody, until it actually hits the Federal Register, please. So that's what this memo is about. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. So it's amazing when people can just run away with because there was no definitive source. There was nothing for people to point to. There was just a lot of people talking about it. Different news media picked it up, and then again, the Army made a mistake in sam.gov, and ANS had to come out with an official memo saying, please stop, cease your shenanigans. It's not effective yet, but when it is effective, it will be effective, and then you can start implementing it. So that's what this memo is talking about, that this came out. So hopefully that clears that up. Thanks for sharing that, Robert, because I know there are a few people who said, there's a lot of anything and everything that will allow people to say, well, Kelly, I will get, I, I didn't serve, so I have no comments on. I know the different branches like to poke fun at each other. Um, yeah, so that's a good point. I should have maybe made a slide on that, Robert. I appreciate that. Where yes, there are a lot of people who, yeah, they're putting the clauses in, and yeah, it's always small business, right? Where you're like, hey, take this out right now. I know that even the past 12 or 24 months, other people have gotten 70/21 from just, program manager or finance person or accounts. They just pencil whip in a requirement, and it's just showing up on like a PO or something, and you're like, we're buying, we're selling you brackets, and $5,000 worth of brackets, and I have 70/21 um 70/21 in my PO. Please take that out. That is not required of me. Um, and then of course, being a small business causing friction with your primes, never great. So yes, there's been a lot of confusion. So that's why I appreciate everyone being on the call, trying to, at least I'm trying to help in any way I can, even if I don't get it right 100% of the time, with getting some good information out there. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's actually, Robert, just to scroll back up a little bit. That's actually the scary part. That I think, at least, where if we go back to um oh yeah, I had it on the first, yeah, right here. Program managers will have discretion. I don't like that. So yeah, Robert, that same contract officer who was like a little trigger happy, when this goes out, they might say, well, this contract's very important. Do you have any understanding of how important this contract is? It needs CMMC L2 C2PAO at launch. So that's why discretion is a very scary word when it comes to CMMC, because it's doing a lot of work in the rule language here. So they have discretion. They could say, and then of course it says DoD will make sure to provide oversight to ensure that no one is, abusing, and no one is putting it into too many contracts, yada yada yada. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, discretion is a very scary word. So don't be surprised as soon as it's launched, you get a very aggressive contract officer sneaking it back in. So all that being said, um, there's more C3PAOs on the marketplace, and there's 5 between them in the last 2 weeks. So there's more and more people. As always, always like to give a shout out to Kelly Kendall, who's on here, poking fun at different military branches, because he's a service disabled vet himself. He runs KLC Consulting, which is a C3PAO that is familiar with NeQter. They're out in the California, LA area. So that's an example of we work with quite a few different C3PAOs that are familiar with NeQter. And if you need, even just want to reach out to us to go, hey, I just got this price for an assessment. Is that too much? Is that too little? Do I need someone to have to fly out to look at my physical security, and or what types of questions should I be asking to vet appropriately? Making sure you're speaking the same language is crucial. Speaking the same scope is crucial for getting your assessment. So, please feel free to reach out with any of those questions um, that you may have. And another comment in the chat: some of the C3POs will help you prepare and guarantee 100% certification. Seems scammy to me. It's because it is a scam, and that is a violation of the COPEC, the Code of Ethics. A C3PO who provides consulting for you cannot also perform an assessment. It's one or the other. You can either use a C3PO for an assessment, and if they run the assessment and it's and you fail and there's findings, they can provide you with, here is what you missed. You missed out on 3-1-20 or something. They cannot provide advice on how you can remedy it. Of course, there is use the word discretion within an assessment of, there's different leniency and there's different things that, like, for example, you go into policy that says, well, we have lockout of 15 minutes of inactivity. And then you go into your Active Directory and it's 30 minutes. Well, most C3POs I know will say, hey, you can, it's just align them. Okay, the policy says 15, so you can go in. You did have it turned on, it was just at the wrong increment, so you can change that. So there are certain things like that. Obviously, if completely missing a tool or completely missing a policy, it's up to every C3PO. But yeah, number one, anyone who's advising you cannot assess. Anyone who's assessing you cannot advise. And of course, there are C3PAOs where they may say, hey, we're going to do a mock assessment for you and then advise you on any discrepancies. So then if you go and you get a C3PAO assessment from another C3PAO, you can feel pretty confident in your ability to pass. And of course, multiple C3PAOs know and are familiar with multiple C3PAOs, or there's the professionals themselves, the CCPs and the CCAs that might 1099 and work for multiple C3PAOs. So you could have a C3PAO that is well known and trusted and prepares you, and then hands you over to someone that they have worked with previously, who knows their system and knows how they prepare, and says, okay, we can be pretty confident that this company, if, for example, plugging KLC, all right, Kelly prepared this company, and, I know the rigor that he goes through. I can be pretty confident that they will, they'll go through my C3PO and pass, but no one can guarantee anything. That is wrong and a violation of ethics that the C3PO had to sign onto as an organization to work with the Cyber AB. And yeah, Kelly posted in the chat there. There's an official ethics@cyberab.org email to send any suspicious things that you may find. So I'm so sorry, Kelly. I keep saying KLC. It's because I saw Kyle last week at NVIDIA Defense Innovation Days. Kelly Kendall is KNC Consulting. My apologies. Just been I mean, I've mentioned you many webinar before, so I apologize, messed up this one time here. Another question here talking about CMMC. Does that apply to a single company or just a C3PAO? So you could get advised by a person within a company, then get cert via the same company? No. No, I was just talking about some CCPs who might, like there's some people that they work for themselves and they 1099 and they do assessments for multiple companies as kind of from a scaling standpoint, right? Sometimes you can't W-2 everyone. Sometimes you need to use outside 1099s. So just to reiterate, Jacob, know that so the C3PAO organization, anyone has done work at that C3PAO and you have used an organization for consulting um, or advisory, you cannot use that same org or anyone who works in that org um, to get a certification. Now, yeah, because like you definitely don't want to muddy the waters, right? Or say you work with like Jeff, and Jeff 1099s at multiple companies. Well, if he assesses you at one company and he sits on another company, he shouldn't be part of that that assessment at the other company. You don't want to pollute it that way, because then that's also a conflict of interest as well. So yeah, you want to make sure that the people who are helping you and the organization, there's no crossing of the wires between they should be policing. The organization themselves should be policing to make sure that same people that assess don't certify. So a mock assessment, so no, you cannot get a mock assessment from a company. And well, let's say this. You can do a mock assessment and do a dry run. And then as long as there's no advice at the end of that dry run, so you might say, you know what, I want to do a dry run, but I don't want the AB involved, or I don't want anything being uploaded anywhere. I just want to, hey, let's just do a dry run, see where we're at. And okay, we got a 90 out of 110. Well, okay, these are the things you missed, or these are controls that you failed. They can't provide any advice of, hey, you failed on your training, so go out and get no before, we'll pass no before. They can't do that. They can say you failed 322. And then you can go out and I'll have Kelly chime in, but I'm pretty sure that's fine in terms of, yeah, you can do a mock. Yep. You can do a mock and say, here's your score. No, no report or findings or details of how to get your score up, but here's how you did. Then you can go and get use that same company to get the official assessment, because there was no consultative help. So yeah, a lot of dialogue on this. I appreciate it. I know everyone. So let's see here. We have yeah. So I'm saying dry run, but yeah, mock assessment. Um, just basically going through all of the steps as if you were getting the official certification, without, of course, getting because of course, if you were to say we're doing it for real, we're doing it live, and you fail, well, the C3PAO has to report that. It's more formal. So yeah, so basically, going through we'll call it a live exercise, right? Going through it and getting that mock, and then getting no advice, no consultative, you can use that same C3PAO to then go and do the real deal. And we have another question here from Jonathan. Our Prime is offering CMMC training courses to help teach us what it's all about. Would that be worth our time, since we would eventually need a C3PAO to do the prep in the end? I tried telling upper management that the Prime can't do everything since they are not a third party. I I guess it depends. Is it free, or are you paying for it? I mean, I guess it depends on your level of knowledge or your level of confidence with CMMC. Um, I mean, if you think it would be helpful for your leadership, if they need to be clued in, and the prime is going to provide training, it could be helpful. Um, it depends also who's teaching it. One of the biggest things to understand is who instructors are, or or let's say it this way. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So be aware of who is providing the training, and is it a third party that the prime is partnered up with? Is it a vendor? Is it going to be, hey, get clued up on all of these things for CMMC, and oh, by the way, we have a solution that you can buy that will make sure you pass 100%. You just got to be careful. Is it purely educational, informational, or is there a certain angle? It could be a C3PAO. I do know several C3PAOs that provide training, that provide webinars, and their information can be helpful. Just try to find out who it is, and then do a Google search, look on Reddit, see, is this person reputable, is their worldview something that people agree with, or controversial, because you may have a C2PAO that goes down rabbit holes, and causes a lot of extra work, or um, extra burden, or makes things more complicated than they need to be. And then you have, on the other side, could be someone who will pass anything. So you just it depends. I'll put it that way. It could be worthwhile, especially if your C-suite is at zero. They have and they're just caring about CMMC now, or they've heard about it, but now they're starting to pay attention because it's finally going into effect. Um, and it's worthwhile to get them in a room and say, hey guys, an hour out of your day over the next 4 to 6 weeks, or depending on what the training is. If it's yeah, I, I guess it depends. I'll leave that up to you. But definitely couldn't hurt, but make sure it's informational, or there's no ulterior motive. There's no gift shop after the ride, um, so to speak. Um, so going back to Jacob here, um, I just see some of the larger companies in this space offering mock and assessments. So when they say that they will just hand you back a score and it's on you to figure everything out, if I wanted help closing these gaps, I'd want two different companies. Yes. They again, because of the code of ethics and conflict of interest, they cannot advise if it's an assessment, or if you are getting advice from someone and they're consulting you. You can't then go say, hey, you've been helping me prep for 9 months, give me the assessment now, please, and make sure I pass. That can't happen. So yeah, you can go and get a mock assessment, and they'll give you a score, and they'll tell you, um, you know, the controls that have been missed. Um, and Yeah, yeah. So Josh chimed in here. There are orgs that offer mock or gaps, and they're not C3PAOs. They could offer you support in preparing for an assessment. So that's on they're putting the consulting hat on, right? So yeah. So for example, um, say you go and maybe a bad example, but I'll use it anyway. Some states require you to get a car inspected. Well, with CMMC, you can go and get an inspection, and if you fail, they'll say, "Hey, here's why you failed." That same mechanic can't do the work. They can keep running inspections and keep telling you how you did, in terms of what you're missing out on or what you need fixed. but you need to go to a different shop and get it fixed. Um, but Josh chimed in because I'll plug Josh here too. Josh is a member of DefCert. They're a consulting firm that we have several clients with, where they haven't gone. They don't have an RPO. They don't have a C3PAO. They're just a bunch of smart people working at a consulting firm that knows the talk and walks the walk. They're helmed by Ryan Bonner. So that's an example of, you don't need to have a official badge. You don't need to have any of the, your cyber AB designated organization types. You could just be very, very smart and comprehensive and provide consulting for people. And yeah, so don't mean to be too confusing there, Jacob. Hopefully that makes sense. So in summary, you can get consulting from a company. If that company is a CTPAO, you cannot also get a official certified assessment through them. You'll have to go to another C3PAO. However, if you want to use a C3PAO for a mock assessment, they do a live exercise, dry run, go through everything and say, all right, you would pass or you would not pass, and here are the things that you would not pass on. Then you can go back after fixing those things and have them do the official assessment. Yep. And yeah, I think that especially for a lot of small orgs or even large orgs, I know several even the largest companies, Fortune 500, they get outside help. Um or it really depends. I mean, I do know some organizations seeking certifications, or OSCs, who have been doing this as long as I have, since 2016, where they have bandwidth or staff internally that has been reading this every day and getting prepared and what have you. It's still good to go out, even if you are a trained vet and in CMMC, and say, all right, let me get a second opinion. Let me go out and do a mock assessment, or let me go and interface with a consultant, just to make sure I have my ducks in a row. Yeah, as Kelly just mentioned, going into a formal assessment, I wouldn't sign up for a formal assessment before you have a good idea of where you're at, or else you don't get that money back. And assessments today, I mean, the lowest I've seen is $45,000, regardless of size of scope. So if you're not prepared and you say, you know what, we're doing it live, we're gonna go and get a assessment. Let me get scheduled from a CTPAO and delete $50,000. You're not getting that money back. So it's very good to make sure that if you're gonna go and get the certification, you want to make sure that you're going to pass. Now, C3PAOs, worth their salt, are going within the vetting process. They're going to turn you away if they know you're not ready, because they want to pick winners, right? They want to pass people. So if in the introduction or first meeting, they're like, there's no way this company is going to pass, they're not going to move forward. That's referred to as a false start. So but a C3PAO might say, hey, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just give them an assessment, charge them $50K and fail them. And because you want to be wise with your money. And Kelly's chiming in here, a mock plus an assessment. Yeah. So let's, I wasn't going to speak on behalf, but I have seen where if you get a mock and then you get an assessment with the same organization, it's cheaper, or because they'll bundle it a little bit because it's return business. Um, Kelly's here's talking about they're doing a mock at a fixed price of $15,000. I've seen mocks be maybe I would say roughly half. So if you're looking at a formal certification being 50K for an assessment, I've seen mocks be 25, 20. Kelly's talking here about 15. So and then with prep, it depends on the amount of time that you take, right? So you might have like program management or help for like a 6 months, and you're paying per month. It could be 5, 6, 7, 8K a month, maybe less. It depends on the size of your organization. But again, these are the questions to reach out to us and ask, because we know quite a few people. It's like the old State Farm. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. These questions are great as a community forum for everyone to ask. And let's see. Oh, a NeQter question on a NeQter webinar. How dare you? So in terms of better support managing artifacts. Now, do you mean in generation of artifacts or in storing and management of artifacts in the compliance tool? Because one of the things that we're um, continually adding different reports. Um, we are reworking quite a bit of the compliance tool as a final update, I promise, before our large version 3 update. We've added quite a few changes and features to the compliance tool. I have existing policy attached. You need to update. Right now, I have to re-upload and then reattach everywhere it was linked. Yes. So, um, I need to see. I know that there was a feature request, or a feature that was basically if you have a uploaded document, just basically re-uploading, on top of itself, the newer version, and then it will automatically be attached. I need to see where that feature is. I do know that there are other organizations, other people who use the tool where rather instead of saying like managing something in a Word doc, um, if you're maintaining a document in SharePoint, I know a lot of people have been hyperlinking the evergreen SharePoint link into like the description. So that there's two small features that we're going to be changing. So one of the things is upload or attach as a link. So that's going to be one. And the other one is re-uploading the same document, rather than re-uploading it, but then not having to reattach it to everything, just re-uploading on top of that document within the tool and having everything update accordingly. So those are two things I know that we're going to be doing. I just need to see where they're going to fall, whether I'm unsure if it was in the next short update that we had or will be a version 3 function. So that is something that is going to be enhanced either one way or the other. So hopefully that answers your question, Tyler. And yeah, so this area here um is just a redo of or recap of 223. I'll just quickly, because I know a lot of people have been using the new system health and maintenance report, and it has been helping our support team quite a bit. But yeah, basically this is the rundown of the report. Just has a lot of different information about agents and the device health and licensing information, or index health, and a lot of things that previously we had to go into the backend logging of NeQter to C. Now it's been brought to the front. So I apologize. I'm just gonna breeze through this, but NeQter health and status, version, user information, backup settings, listed out and their configurations here. Hardware information. This is very helpful when it comes to VMs to make sure that VMs are what they need to be to run NeQter. Event information, as well as lists of all hosts and their agent versions. So really, instead of having to click around the tool to see certain things, you can see it all right here. We're going to be reformatting this a bit because we took the first stab at it to include all the information that we wanted to include, and then we're going to be revisiting this to trim it down and reformat it a bit. Inputs, dashboard information, integrations, if they're on or not, vulnerability scans in their breakdown and their frequencies, and then we re-updated the compliance links that we have in the compliance tool. And yeah, don't mean to rush, but talked quite a bit about CMMC, which is very important because it's coming out. I see that there is a question from Steve Cuppy. Has NeQter had a C3PAO assessment? Now, in terms of C3PAO of NeQter itself, if that's the question, so no, NeQter has not gotten a C3PAO assessment because we are a security protection asset. We're an SPA. So NeQter's not handling or receiving or transmitting CUI internally with NeQter. We're an external service provider or ESP. So no, we do not need to get a C3PO or L2 for NeQter as an organization, if that's your question. If your question is, has NeQter had a C3PO assessment in terms of our software has been within a client and has gone through an assessment by a C3PAO as part of their full scope and as part of their, getting a C3PO assessment and certification and passing, yes, NeQter has been within a couple client assessments, if that is your question. So again, NeQter as an ESP, and we're not a cloud either, right? Our software is maintained locally on a customer site, customer environment. So at most, it's an SPA. NeQter, the software itself needs to be meeting the areas that it is providing for CMMC. But yeah, so no as a NeQter org, but yes as a NeQter software. Yeah, just gonna race to the bottom here. I mean, questions a little bit redundant since there's been a lot of questions, a lot of good dialogue. Really, this was more of a podcast today, more than anything visual. So I appreciate everyone sticking with it and listening and giving some good feedback. I appreciate, as always, Kelly Kendall from KNC Consulting, chiming in as an expert C3PAO, and other our clients here and everyone who chose to join to provide some good feedback. This is going to be a big topic of discussion. I know when we chime in next time for October, spooky October, the spooks have already come, because CMMC is definitely going to be out with the 48 CFR. So as always, this was recorded, will be put up on YouTube, and appreciate everyone's time. Seeing if there's any last questions here. Yeah, please, anyone reach out. I will put my email in the chat again. you don't have it, everyone should have it. But please reach out to me if you have any questions or price points or scoping or anything CMMC. Please reach out. So I'll say goodbye for September, and we'll say hello again in October. So everyone have a great rest of your month.